Let's see Hasan marks off.
We're going to murder you
Yeah.
for even attempting this.
Oh my god,
Huh?
he's so dramatic. Bro, you're gonna get murdered
What
for
is this
starting a
about?
lefty super PAC? I don't know if any other political movement could survive such horrible optics. Twitch darling superstar millionaire, hyper capitalist, hyper consumers flying in private jets to Burning Man wearing $2,000 outfits with a ring on every single finger leftist Hasan Piker, flying back and forth between his $3 million, $4 million West Hollywood house.
I live on a basic necessity budget.
Then
Okay,
you've got
then.
Second Thought, who literally runs an alternative channel
So hilarious. Basic necessity budget, by the way.
where they test drive supercars.
$160,000 car that's more expensive than most houses are.
It's wild.
After so many vids about climate change, you're gonna upload vids about supercars? Am I the only one who sees the hypocrisy? Do as I say, not as I do? Don't be ignorant. The 6 biggest cruise ships produce more emissions than every car on the road. Focus your anger where it counts.
Okay.
What's an ethical way for you as someone who makes a lot of
Good
money
one.
to use your surplus money?
I just go off vibes. I
Vibes.
do
Okay,
whatever
so
is fun for
leths
me.
prefer vibes.
This is
Ethan doesn't laugh at all.
war against critical thinking, battle against intellectualism, the war against rational behavior. And we're not even aware of it. And that's terrifying. Whew. What kind of an example are we setting? The
Is this an actual music video?
problem with America is that because of cultural imperialism, we are literally teaching the rest of the world how to think, what to wear. The Kardashians are lying to you.
Son goes mask off on Tankie podcast. What is this?
I remember watching the show, which was the US elections a few years ago through your stream, and I remember it peaking at like over 200,000 like consecutive viewers at some point, and those are not rookie numbers, baby. Those are like CNN, Fox News numbers, and you know, you're just a guy and the skeleton crew of editors and managers. So like, is the traditional media, as cliche as it is, dying? Why is the obvious answer yes?
Skeleton crew of, I mean, you also have to kind of consider the entire people working the infrastructure of Twitch to make that work as well, right? Like, don't they kind of get some credit there?
And what do you think, you know, the future of political/news coverage will look like? Because, you know, a guy in a suit staring at a camera and reading off of a teleprompter is probably not it.
I don't know where the future of media will go. In many respects, what I do is actually not all that different than what like right-wing AM radio broadcasters would do and have been doing and will continue to do for many, many years probably. I mean, I am probably closer to a Rush Limbaugh. I am probably closer to a Rush Limbaugh, rest in piss, than like a Jon Stewart, I would say. Obviously, I'm not speaking ideologically. I just mean, you know, content-wise, or maybe even rhetoric-wise, honestly. I mean, he is a dishonest pervert, pill junkie who died of brain cancer, but, you know, ultimately, he was doing off-the-cuff analysis from a reactionary perspective and was cutting a shitload of propaganda very successfully. And that off-the-cuff, like, non-stop content style has been around for a while, and I think I am doing something similar to that. With my channel, the only component that is different than what has come prior to this is what this medium allows me to do is speak to people directly and immediately with real-time feedback. And there has never been, in the history of like commentary, content, whatever you want to call it, there has never been a medium that allows you to get real-time feedback from an entire audience, a stadium full of people.
Yeah,
I go live every day to, you know, 30,000, 40,000 people. If it's something that's like relevant happening in the news, like Donald Trump getting arraigned, 60,000 people. And every single person has the opportunity to basically write something and have me in front of 60,000 people read it out and respond to it. And I think that's what makes my content very unique. I think that is what is really truly interesting about this, is that like that's why the de-radicalization stuff works well, in my opinion. Well, not de-radicalization, or radicalization stuff works well, in my opinion,
Nice catch.
on the medium that I'm in, like picking people and moving them
Misspoke.
away from right-wing politics, reactionary politics, the alt-right pipeline, if you want to call it that. The way I'm able to do that is because I know the most effective talking points, I know the most effective counters, and I can do that by directly talking to people. And others with similar perspectives can get and develop a different opinion on these subjects in real time.
Basically, what Hasan is saying is that he should pay his chat, because thanks to chat, the actual show is actually good. But, you know, it's pretty incredible that people like us, you know, have found a model in which we get to like put food on our table while we spread our ideas and, you know, trick the market into quite literally allowing us to grow bigger and faster by the month, so that we can proliferate more and more anti-capitalist rhetoric. You know, the capitalist will sell us the very rope we will hang them with, blah, blah, blah. And some have been, and I proudly say deservingly, super successful at this model, such as yourself.
What's going on in San Francisco tomorrow? The Manifold Conference.
JT as well, such as one day this podcast, or to an extent even now, or like insanely big shit like Trap House and others. Again,
Yeah, I guess that's more money.
continuing in the line of, you know, aesthetization and all of this. I remember watching
1% capital feliz.
shit show, which was the U.S. elections a few years ago through.
That fight is purely fought on aesthetic grounds.
We have
Hey, Destiny, what's going on in SF tomorrow? Also appreciate the content. Very nice. Keep it up.
It's crazy. I mean, there are some people online who, like you said, can take this way too seriously. Like I tweeted out, I was looking for a new camera for my on location stuff, and I tweeted my complaints about it. Like I'm just complaining about Canon specs, and this person in the comments shows up. Why aren't you building the revolution? I feel like you and Hasan could pool your resources and viewers together. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm a guy with a laptop and internet connection and some opinions. What do you want me to do?
Oh,
so
great.
crazy
Here
the different
comes.
perspectives we have on this. Not to self-flagellate too much, but like I feel like I owe a little bit to
Yeah,
the
doesn't really want to do anything but the real
world
world.
in terms of like my political thoughts. Like if I have certain political thoughts, I feel like I kind of owe it to do something with them, right? Otherwise, what are you doing at the end of the day? If you're not trying to propagate your ideas, you're not trying to, whether it's canvassing or doing whatever for political candidates, like I feel like you kind of owe it to the world at least a little bit. The idea that these guys, their minds run to the exact opposite direction, like, well, who am I? What could I possibly ever, like, what do you mean, who are you? Like, you guys are some of the most popular influencers on the internet. What do you mean, who are you? Like the millions of dollars you
Yeah,
earn
he's
every
the
year is not
biggest
motivation.
political streamer.
Like join an organization, join CPUSA, PSL, FRSO, whatever you want to do.
Like you guys have more collective voice than a lot of these organizations do, like just on your own. Like it's such a weird refusal to accept responsibility for anything. It's so bizarro.
Don't look to the talking heads on YouTube or Twitch or whatever to be, the leaders of this vanguard. That's
So who is?
It's bizarre.
My favorite is when someone
Why are they pushing the idea
thinks that
then?
they're like social democrat even, but like really they're just neoliberal, will come and be like, Hasan.
I'm glad that these guys are at least honest now that like suck dems to these guys are basically fascists. Like they don't pretend anymore. Remember when Hasan was initially on my stream and he pretended so much to do that suck dem bullshit when in reality he was a fucking tanky? Ugh.
Why don't you start a super PAC to
Yeah.
like bring about socialism in America? And I'm like, they're like social democrat even, but like really they're just neoliberal, will come and be like, Hasan, why don't you start a super PAC to like bring about socialism in America? And I'm like, brother, I don't think a single billionaire could even do that. And that motherfucker has billions. And
So nothing? So there's just nothing? Or what is the...
Okay.
I like how they laugh at the idea of doing something.
So they'll never do anything then,
so much
even
power.
if they're a billionaire.
Because for every billionaire that would be like, I want to bring about my own demise and destroy the way that I've been able to, accumulate capital, right? For every billionaire that would even hypothetically do that, which would never happen, it's laughable. There are, hundreds of billionaires that are like, absolutely not. We're going to murder you for even attempting this.
Oh my god, he's so dramatic. Bro, you're gonna get murdered for starting a lefty super PAC? Come on.
It's a laughable notion.
It's actually hilarious.
Again,
He
it's
thinks
like
like that.
straight up trying to adopt the most liberal aesthetics, or
What is liberal aesthetics? Actually doing something? Is that liberal aesthetics? Like, cringe.
the most liberal solutions, and completely misunderstanding how any of this stuff works.
The wildest thing I watched randomly. I usually like watch the clips. I rarely watch the live because time zones and shit. But some debate with some dude, I don't even know his fucking name, but he's big or some shit. And this guy like unironically was proposing that if you're a socialist and you're doing this content and you're generating money off of this content, and for example you want people to have free healthcare, you're supposed to create like a company or an NGO.
Oh,
Trainwreck's announcing one of 3 upcoming projects. This is just the initial announcement, so more details coming soon of a mental health care project he is starting and actually working with a supposed prominent organization, remains unnamed for now,
Yes,
and
Paul.
even gifting $250,000 of his own money to start the fund and project up front to help people out there in his community and hopefully other streamers
But then next to it, what's going to happen?
communities receive some good mental health care, which God almighty, we all know that is needed by not just creators and streamers, but also the people on the internet. I think we have seen more of a struggle since the pandemic started of this than I think we've ever seen before. Beyond that, a lot of people go through things that we simply never know about. And so Trainwreck's giving back. Gotta love something like this.
And provide healthcare for your fucking chat or your subscribers.
Yeah.
That was absolutely incredible. I
mean, like, isn't there something to be said for proof of concept creation of like co-ops and stuff for people to buy in and do healthcare? Isn't that kind of the whole point of mutual aid? These guys might be so far that they don't believe in mutual aid, or they think all of that is stupid, and they literally just sit in their bougie homes making millions of dollars, waiting for the revolution, quote unquote, and that's it.
I fucking love that shit. That was like a proper
it was
great
awesome,
thing to watch.
but, like so many people feel that. So many people believe that.
You think so?
Yes. In America, people literally think socialism is a poverty cult. People straight up think if you're a socialist, you need to literally live this life of austerity, and every single dollar that you generate to not go to any kind
He
of...
still can't even give the basic version of the other argument. He gives the most strawman, retarded version ever. The reason why he does this, when you give the most strawman version ever, it's because you know you're wrong. Like there's no other way of putting it. If you cannot give even a basic version of an opponent's argument and you just say the same retarded shit over and over again, it's because you know you're wrong. You have nothing to say. And it must be. Hasan must know. He must feel weird or feel out here.
It's an unimaginable straw
He's
man.
like been outed as an imposter basically, among us. If you can't even give the basic version of like, hey, if you're a super millionaire making millions out and you're like 27 years old or whatever, maybe there's a little bit you can do to help. No, oh, socialism is when poverty, that's when I have to be poor in order to be a socialist. I have to give all my money away. Like, bro, literally nobody said that. Nobody's making this argument anywhere. I have no idea where you got this argument. I don't think I've ever in my life somebody make that argument before. But okay, chief.
Personal consumption, because that's fucked up. If you're capitalist, you can do all that, by the way, which I addressed in that conversation where, like, I work with labor unions in my merchandise when I make merch out here. Union manufactured, domestically manufactured products. It's already a burden. I don't want to even do it. I just do it because, like, people want the merchandise.
What is this weird cope? What is this weird cope?
It's already a burden. I don't want to even fucking do it. I just do it because, like, people want the merchandise. The margins are, non-existent almost, but it's fine.
Why not say how much you made on all of it then? How much do you make on all your merch? Just say it.
People like it, so that's why I do it. But the guy I'm talking to is like using Indonesian child labor t-shirts that he's marking up to the same price that I'm selling my fucking t-shirts at. And I turned around and I asked him that question. He was like, "Well, I'm a capitalist, you know."
Yeah, I get to do it.
Yeah, no, it's a ridiculous point to try to basically to say that, hey, you shouldn't be allowed any enjoyment under capitalism because those are quote unquote the fruits of capitalism. As a socialist, your I guess ideological outlook should be the fact that you should sleep underneath the bridge.
It's crazy. I mean, there are some people online.
It's such an unbelievable. I don't know anything about this Hakeem guy, what his lifestyle is, but it's so funny that you've got three leftists. The optics of this, I don't know if any other political movement could survive such horrible optics. On one end, you've got, Twitch darling superstar millionaire, hyper-capitalist, hyper-consumers, flying in private jets to Burning Man, wearing $2,000 outfits with a ring on every single finger, leftist Hasan Piker, okay? Flying back and forth between his $3 million, $4 million West Hollywood house, okay? Then you've got Second Thought, who literally runs an alternative channel where they test drive supercars. Where somebody link this guy's other channel. God, I don't know how to find this other channel. Second Thought. Yes. People don't know this. Second Thought is another channel where they test drive and they critique supercars. I could be able to.
Living a more capitalistic lifestyle ever.
Second Thought side.
Preaching something else.
It's Grand Test Auto. Oh, this.
Excuse guys, don't mind us. Just coming through.
Just coming through in a $160,000 car that's more expensive than most houses are.
It's wild.
Hold on, I just want to go to the voice.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, what's the car saying?
Car is lowering suspension.
Nice. If you can't tell by the fancy lowering suspension automatically and the loud noises coming from behind us, we are in a very fast and
oh no, it's gotta be this guy. It's gotta be this guy. I think.
So car today.
We are in a McLaren 570S.
Very, very excited. I have never been in a McLaren.
This is my first time I've ever even set foot in a McLaren. It's the first time I've ever sat down in one or been in one or touched one.
You said, guy.
It's just so funny that, like, these are the people that you have, like, representing your socialist movement, while simultaneously telling you, like, guys, what do you expect us to do? Like, you really expect us to do anything? We can't do anything. Like, Jesus Christ. Apparently Hakeem is a doctor in Iran. There you go. Well, at least Hakeem's there between his two multi-millionaire socialist friends trying to hold down their credibility.
Who, like you said, Hakeem, take this way, way too seriously. Like, I tweeted out, I was looking for a new camera for my on location stuff, and I tweeted my complaints about it. Like, I'm just complaining about Canon specs. And this person in the comments shows up, why aren't you building a revolution? I feel like you and Hasan could pool your resources and viewers together. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm a guy with...
Which is inherently, one, a mystification.
Hasan Scorns gets defensive for being asked a softball question.
Is,
Let's see, watch the trailer for that channel on the Second Thought channel.
If you've been on the channel for a while, you've probably heard me mention the secret project I've been working on with Joseph from Real Life Lore. Well, after almost a year of planning and shooting, we're finally ready to launch. As of right now, you can catch our new car show, Grand Test Auto, right here on YouTube. We review everything from muscle cars to electrics to autocycles, supercars, and of course, the Toyota Corolla. Grand Test Auto will always be free and supported by sponsors here on YouTube. But if you'd like to watch the show ad-free and see new episodes months before everybody else, you can sign up for an account on Nebula and watch Grand Test Auto along with tons of other original content from your favorite educational YouTubers.
Am I the only one confused by the irony of a channel heavily dedicated or devoted to class struggle and climate crisis awareness making a channel about testing or test driving wildly expensive and extremely wasteful vehicles?
Either way, we've had a lot of fun making this new show.
Oh, yeah. You remember when Two Thought? True. Two Thought defended the CO2 emissions of reviewing cars because cruise ships. I remember that. Second Thought, can we find that? Ah, fuck. I don't think it was... Was it this video where he brings it up specifically?
This episode is brought to you by CuriosityStream. Get free access to Nebula, our new streaming service, when you... and vehicles. One such material is heavy fuel, a residual product that's left over after gasoline.
I don't remember. I feel like they specifically call it out in one of their videos where people complain about their reviewing cars, and then they say, it was a comment on a video. It might have been a comment on a video. Yeah, I'm not going to find it. But then they were like, what about cruise ships? Jesus Christ. Okay.
One of the concluding questions we can go into that you, as with a few others, already answered before I even asked them, and making my job extremely difficult here. I'm fucking with you, but that's I guess the biggest fear of what we do, to an extent, at least from my perspective, is that when we create this shit and people consume this shit, does that increase their anti-capitalist fervor, or does it indirectly placate it? Because they sat down today, they watched this video, they listened to the stream, they read that blog article or whatever type of content that you.
Was it this? Oh my God! Hold on, somebody found the comment. After so many vids about climate change, you're gonna upload vids about supercars? Am I the only one who sees the hypocrisy? Do as I say, sometimes I do. Don't be ignorant. The 6 biggest cruise ships produce more emissions than every car on the road. Focus your anger where it counts. It's like so Bro, Sneaker was right. I need fan base like this, okay? I need fan bases like this. Don't be ignorant.
The 3 biggest Bitcoin collapses in the world cost more wealth
Yes,
than
by
every
the
NFT on the
way.
internet. Focus your anger right counts, guys. Buy my NFTs.
You're creating, and that already one of the concluding questions we can go into that you as with a few others.
There's literally no shot that's actually true, right? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure cars are one of the biggest emitters of carbon dioxide in the world. I think 1/3 of all greenhouse gases come from cars. You're gonna touch me.
Answered before I even asked them and making my job extremely difficult here. Fucking with you, but that's I guess the biggest fear of what we do to an extent.
People saying not 1/3 at a time.
Is that when we create this shit and people consume this shit, does that increase their anti-capitalist fervor, or does it indirectly placate it? Because they sat down today, they watched this video, they listened to the stream, they read that blog article or whatever type of content that you're creating, and that already gives them enough of a feeling, a gut feeling that for today I've done quote unquote my part for the ideas that I would like to espouse into the world and to manifest and to materialize, etc., etc. So it's kind of a scary question to ask ourselves, because we actively encourage real life activism, agitation, organization, and so on from one perspective, from one side of the coin, but then from the other side of the coin, similar to literally bourgeois elections, you feel you only go once every 4 years. You put in that little fucking tablet or the thing, the paper in the box, and it gives you the sense that I've done my part for my community for the next 4 years. The scary question is, do we, to a certain extent, by creating the stuff that we do, contribute to a very similar problem? And the only it's not really even a question, because you subjectively can answer this, blah blah blah. But only time will tell if there is any actual material contribution that comes that goes towards the movement, the ideology of our poster making, or if it's quite unintentionally to an extent.
The entire time there needs to be text, please.
No, I totally understand it. You're saying you're asking if we are also playing a role in sedating the masses, despite our best efforts to instill class consciousness, because people think that it is a revolutionary act to consume a piece of content that or even read theory, I guess, which would be the more advanced version of this. And I don't know, I would categorize it not even as theory, but as just entertainment, really. I don't ever think about it like that at all. I don't think about whether or not this is stopping people from genuinely engaging in this kind of action, because I don't think that a lot of these people would even know anything about socialism in general if it weren't for someone trying to slowly I guess I hate this term, but bread pill them. So for me, like I said, it's not that serious. In my from where I'm standing, I talk about so much dumb shit over the course of 10 hours, depending on what part of the broadcast you're tuning into. I'm playing horror games and shit, you know what I mean? I don't live my
It's just not a big deal after
life as
all.
though every single moment and every single point of my output is supposed to be socialist Jesus, Of course. I think that it's important to have fun.
Again, and it's so boring. They don't actually engage with anything. It's just no, but it's annoying that they won't engage with
Actually whistling as
any
a
subtle critique ever. It's a profound question. Well, profound. It's a good question. Do you think that the consumption of this media might placate people's drive to make revolutionary change, right? Should I get active? Should I go do something? I didn't watch the sun stream today, I did something, right? That's an interesting question. And Hasan's response is, am I supposed to be socialist Jesus 24/7? Am I supposed to do things all the way, blah, 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 blah? It's so I don't know, it's so crazy. It's just funny, their thought process is just incredible to me. It's an incredible thought process. I feel like a normal person would feel such a moral calling, given Hasan's wealth and capability and opportunity, that you'd be perpetually plagued with guilt of am I doing enough with everything I've been gifted? I'm actually making a big enough change in the world. And then for them it's I have to be perfect. I just, come on, dude.
Much dumb shit over the course of 10 hours, depending on what part of the broadcast you're tuning into. I'm playing fucking horror games and shit, you know what I mean? I don't live my life as though every single moment,
just wearing this person, I
every single
guess.
point of my output is supposed to be socialist Jesus, Of course. I think that it's important to have fun. I certainly have a lot of hedonistic desires that I cave to regularly. That's why I bought a nicer house than what revolutionaries on Twitter thought was appropriate. So I bought a fucking Porsche, and I have the capacity to do so, so I did it. But also because it just makes the limited amount of daily commute that I do more enjoyable. And I think everyone should
What does he even daily commute for? I forgot that he had a Porsche. Jesus. It's not an upgrade. We need to upgrade from our RS, boys, alright? It's time to go get at least a Corvette. God damn. Jesus.
I think he's still there, the 60k car.
do so. Ultimately, though, it's just I'm an entertainer. I'm an entertainer first. I'm not a revolutionary activist. I'm not I'm not a leader in the movement. I just do entertainment.
How sad are you when your largest voices online, your biggest voices online, say they're not leaders in your movement? I'm not a leader, not a revolutionary. I'm just a guy that likes nice cars, big houses, and nice clothes. Jesus.
If there is more value in that entertainment for someone that feels like their worldview has changed, and that's great. That's definitely a goal. But ultimately, it's educational entertainment. Entertainment.
Absolutely fair enough.
Very, very nicely put.
Was it nicely put? Really? Okay. Okay,
I do stress the importance of doing shit in the real world all the time, because
just not for me.
I think that if your interest in improving your material conditions begins and ends with consuming content, then you're not going to get anything done, and you're not going to feel the positive impact that you might have on your community or in your own personal life by engaging in these kinds of actions. So that's something that I try to instill in my audience, regardless.
Look at the room overlay.
Something I always repeat on my broadcast is that society prospers when old men plant seeds for trees that they will never sit in the shade of. Right? I'm sure you guys have utilized this before as well. I think that is what's important.
Wait, what? How did that code apply here?
What is he even saying at this point?
The 4 minutes and 60 seconds. You see that on this? The 460. Wow, the DJ thanks for 55 subs.
Your material conditions begins and ends with consuming content, then you know you're
Which
not
guy
gonna
who
get
owns
anything
Porsche pronounces it wrong. What does it mean? Clueless.
and you're not going to feel the positive impact that you might have on your community or in your own personal life by engaging in these kinds of actions. So that's something that I try to instill in my audience regardless. It's something I always repeat on my broadcast is that society prospers when old men plant seeds for trees that they will never sit in the shade of, right? I'm sure you guys have utilized this before as well. I think that that is what's important. You're building blocks for a better future that you may never experience or you may.
In all seriousness, knowing the answers, why do you actually think Hasan fans can hear this and not become self-aware of the absolute lunacy here? That's a really good question. That's a really good question. I would have to. It'd be interesting to grab like 20 Hasan fans as a focus group and be like, how do you feel when you hear this? I actually don't know. I don't know what the answer would be. Maybe because maybe a lot of them are really wealthy and privileged, so they personally identify with what Hasan is saying. And when Hasan releases himself from responsibility, maybe it releases them from responsibility too. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, ask RTBI. He's a big Hasan fan. I have no idea. I'm not sure.
Never enjoy the fruits of.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think also something that Hasan's community has done really well, and socialists online in general, they're very good at developing their own jargon and jokes to avoid criticism. That one comic is really good. Somebody link the comic. You know what I'm talking about.
Comment?
That we should improve society somewhat. Like, people have taken this comic, like, hey guys, shouldn't we do something? And they're like, oh, well, you participate in society, curious. I'm very talented. Like, they've developed a lot of good jargon and kind of humor to deflect from all criticism, so it makes it easier to kind of reinforce said criticism as well. Or to reinforce like defenses from said criticism as well. Then you don't have to actually think about it.
At the end of the day, it's two things we have to be aware of. The first one is to make sure that at the end of the day, capitalism commodifies everything, including what would be considered to be quote-unquote revolutionary content, which this isn't. This is entertainment, but you know what I mean. Leftist content, in essence, becomes a commodity, regardless of whether we can help it or not. Even if none of it was absolutely monetized, like this was completely done just to have the information out there. In the same way, they would form the same processes behind it. The fact that it would become like, oh, a figure that then has the drama shit behind it, all that. So that's one thing we have to keep in mind. But number two, and I think more importantly, again, not to take it so seriously. If you want to take politics seriously, then you take politics seriously in your real life, day-to-day activities.
I feel like Hasan's revolutionary answer varies depending on who he talks to. Or do you maybe think he's exhausted by this political character he has to uphold?
I don't know.
Here is just to entertain yourself, number one, kind of to educate yourself. But at the end of the day, the same.
No, exactly. Like, that's the thing. Like, here's one thing I'll say.
Yeah.
People get so mad about how much money I make, or what I'm doing with the money, even though I do a lot of fundraising, I do a lot of donations, even though like I think charity is not the end all be all, obviously, and there's plenty of issues with 501c3s and all that. Yeah. No need to have that conversation on this podcast of all places. But people get so mad about the amount of money that I make when it is literally voluntary subscriptions. Like, that is my revenue strategy. It's the exact same as like people with Patreons. It's the exact same with people with Substacks. Half the time the people chirping at me are literally people with Substacks. They just don't have any subscribers. Like, that's the only difference.
The jelly
so,
haters.
Like, the way I'm generating income is identical to the way that they are trying to generate income while they're angry. And that's why I try to explain to people regularly. We're like, you don't even need to pay a subscription. Everything is free. Not only is the content free, but the IP in and of itself.
Actually speaks like a poor person.
It's free as well.
Nice.
If you want to use it, if you want to watch it, there's like 1,000 fan channels out there that cut and re-upload this content. Sometimes don't even edit it at all. They just like literally pump it out. And I see a lot of value in that. The reason why I see a lot of value in that is not because like that audience expands and then they come back and watch me and then subscribe to my channel or anything. But my goal always is to get this kind of information in front of as many people as possible. So that's why I do it the way I do it. And I think it's probably one of the most ethical ways that you could do it, at least from my perspective. I'm not exploiting anyone. I do work with some people, and the revenue share structure that we have is they're very fond of it with some people, and the revenue share structure that we have is they're very fond of it, at least, you know what I mean? And yeah, but it doesn't really matter.
There's no need for you to explain or to attempt to. I know that's not what you're doing. You're just trying to get context, but like all of us know, you don't owe any explanation in these things.
One of the concluding questions we can go into that you.
Actually, no need to explain. Okay.
What about someone who was on the platform from like Justin TV streaming, literally started an entire section, an entire new genre on Twitch at a movement, and was, generally speaking, kind of edgy and did, I guess cross a line, but not in a necessarily bad or a toxic way. And then they were indefinitely just removing the website, and like, what would you do in my situation if that person was banned and you don't think they should be banned? Like, what would you do if you were me? To be fair, referring to Destiny, to not be like, what would you, just to be clear and specific.
And so I'm not going to talk about any specific case, right? Because it's a specific case. All I'll say, this is an area that we are looking at to figure out what's the right way to give people another chance.
What about someone who was on the platform?
Okay, nice, good answer. Perfect counter that Fantasy 11 Society political panel. Yeah, I mean, I've seen this.
And then my grandparents on my mom's side are from Kilis, which is, they got like Arab and Kurd and a whole bunch of other shit in them. You know what I mean? Like, and they're actually, ironically, a little bit lighter, which is weird. But then Janky's like really dark, as you guys know. My uncle, the liberal reactionary now, Young Turks host.
Everyone has a cringe uncle. Everyone has like a nice uncle and a cringe uncle.
You gotta have. Well, he was the nice uncle when I was growing up. Now he's become the cringe uncle. I mean, I still love him. It's like hard hard not to, you know, his family, but like, fuck, man, he's always posting cringe.
And it's extra fucked up because you're in the same fucking industry, so to an extent. So the cringe kind of directly affects you and doesn't affect you, and probably the way he sees your shit, so your cringe affects him as well. But
but my cringe is not real, like, in my opinion. My cringe is always like manufactured drama, outrage, people being like, oh, I can't believe he said what he said about 9/11. Like, it's just like that's how I feel about it, at least. Maybe you guys have some difference in opinion here. You can come after me.
Yeah,
but
we are very much against talking badly about 9/11 or the United States. Deserving it. We are very adamant on this position.
Exactly right.
That fight is purely fought on aesthetic grounds, which is inherently, one, a mystification of class politics, and two, very liberal. It's the most liberal thing you can do to be like, oh my god, like, you wear expensive clothes, like, you're fucking not a real leftist. Like, you need to, as a leftist, you need to, or as an anti-capitalist or socialist, like, you can't have a house, you can't make money.
You need to live like an aesthetic.
Yeah, which is inherently, like, it's inherently anti-socialist. Like, I'm no dentist, but you know,
No one is saying you can make money. It's what you do with the money.
it's you know the quote. I'm obviously referencing, but like, socialism is not a poverty.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Exactly right.
yeah, prosperity is glorious for all.
It is.
What Hasan did with his money 7 months ago.
Itself around capital accumulation.
Okay.
Like, every part of the inequality that you see,
What's an ethical way for you, as someone who makes a lot of money, to use your surplus money?
I just use it on myself, and I give a lot to charities and shit.
Right, but surely you have a lot.
I love how that is the exact same criticism that he has of billionaires and capitalists. That billionaires and all these people are losers because they just donate money to charity. I know we watched this long time. We must have. I feel like I remember watching this a while ago. Like, what a stupid fucking quote.
Left over.
I do, yeah.
So what's an ethical thing to do? Just keeping it for yourself is fine?
Nothing. Like, I don't really spend much other than just like.
I'm not asking you what you do
shit.
with it. I'm just like theoretically.
Theoretically, what could you do? I mean, I basically do what I've been doing, but at a larger scale now. You know what I mean? Try to support union funds, do fundraisers, and reinvest it into my own business, I guess, technically. But even then, it's like, I just go off vibes.
Vibes. Okay, so lefties prefer vibes overall.
True, they do. They do. Wait, how old is this? How old is this picture? This can't be recent, right?
It's hilarious.
Seeing so many people defend Destiny and be so disingenuous and Hasan is so depressing, it really shows how many hogs are still in the community. What actually is bad about Destiny? I've only seen the viral clips of him on podcasts. I know him and Hasan have beef, but no idea what else. Why would it be bad if Ethan gave him airtime? Remember, every time people ask questions like this, you never link my content, never link a clip, never actually link anything. Well, you can link a 15-second clip if you want, but it's always like, just explain how fucking horrible I am without ever referencing anything that's actually happened. The main problem with Destiny is his scorched earth tactic of content. He's often very emotionally led with his politics, so as soon as he's annoyed or offended by someone, even if he agrees with them generally, he goes full brain rot and crusade against them. His over-the-top debate pervert audience is the main issue with this, though. They really just love to show up and master their shit. Imagine being a Hasan fan. We just watched Hasan scream at me for 4 hours for not debating black people hard enough, but you think that I'm like a debate pervert. Like, what are we even talking about here? Isn't this exactly what Ethan does, lol? I haven't been a Destiny watcher long, but since Destiny goes scorched earth on people who attempt to strike against him first. True. Yeah, Destiny often talks about politics doesn't equal good about people in their interpersonal life. You just mentioned, oh, this is a fan of mine, boring. Make people link clips of me. Jesus. Destiny built Hasan's career. Really? Let's not act like Hasan had no active audience when he went to streaming full time. Bro, he had like fucking, what was it, like 50 viewers? His active audience? Oh my god, kill me.
Destiny later met Hasan.
I wonder when did me and Hasan first start talking? That's a good question here. Destiny still insists on being able to say the N-word. Based. Take a step back and be saying you're concerned that a content creator you like will watch a content creator you don't like. Oh my god. Hello. Hot profile pic. And standing me. Yes. I'll truly never understand why people stream as a people from Destiny gets mischaracterized so hard. It's actually unfair. Yes, Queen! Him and Ethan share a ton. Okay, never mind. Undo everything I just said.
The W this.
British spelling? Wipe everything away I just said. Ton of the same views, and I genuinely think it's a good faith productive conversation. Basically, Destiny is Sam Cedar and Hasan is Steven Crowder. Destiny is very willing to engage in actual discussion with Hasan and will address Hasan in his videos and never used to get the Goblin Cloud. That's so hilariously inaccurate. Remember when Hasan wouldn't even talk to, was it Tumat, I think? When Hasan wouldn't even talk to Tumat because he was so fucking paranoid that I was lurking in the background. You wanna know what's actually funny? Is Ethan has plans to bring me on to the podcast tomorrow. That's why I lied about going out of town. Did you know that? He actually has plans to drag me in because he wants to make a whole point. Now, does he actually? Or did I just make this up? Did I just reveal a plan?
Is he going to go out?
I wasn't supposed to say anything about? Or am I just saying this because now Hasan's going to hear this, word's going to get back to him, he's going to be so f***ing in his head that maybe he's too scared to talk to Ethan about this at all. Or maybe this actually is going to happen. And if I say it publicly, there's no way. Maybe there are like rumors in the background that this would happen, but now if I say it publicly, it's like, okay, well, this is it publicly, it's not going to happen.
Is Hasan going to leave the...
Ethan and Hasan are genuine friends outside of the show. He wouldn't do that. He wouldn't talk to Destiny. Oh my god. Destiny was pretty terrible to Hasan, and I think this mini random sucks. If we're gonna bridge anything, to be honest, I prefer Vosh. The guy that calls women bitches and says they deserve to get sexually harassed. I will never not play that. I don't know if I've ever been, even at my most misogynistic, have I ever been this unhinged?
Oh no,
Can
no.
somebody please link me the Vosh sexual harassment clips? Bro, this was such a wild clip. Which one? He should talk to Vosh, not Destiny. Why do Hasan fanboys hate Vosh so much? Or hate Destiny so much? They so parasocial. Everyone that mentions here gets down into oblivion. I'm sorry, bro. It's a good tweet. The guy asked me if I was allowed to tweet the word, okay?
Find me that watch video. God damn, it was so fucking good. Hold on.
She's wearing a fucking skirt with stockings. She just wants to live in Mad Men and be sexually harassed by like the fucking the office boys.
What do people not know that women wear stockings and it's not always like they want to get raped? Like, you know, that's like an ordinary thing, especially if you don't feel like shaving your legs.
It's just a wild thing. I haven't heard of this.
You know, there's like an ordinary thing that women. I feel like I'm repeating all the same commentary last time.
I'm sorry? I beg your pardon, sir. What was that? What do I want?
She just wants to live in Mad Men and be sexually harassed.
Yes, Borsch. You caught me. I just want to be sexually harassed. It's obvious I'm undressed. That's all I want. I'm
That's insane.
No.
Obviously wanted. I flirt for unwanted advances.
No wonder she's dressed like this.
I can't believe I have the denied props.
The, like, you know, like just the short skirt plus like the stockings and the so on. Sexually harassed by like the
wanted. I'm begging for it.
like, you know, like just the short skirt plus like the stockings and the so on.
Can you imagine if I had a clip like that? Can you imagine how evil I would be to these people? Bro, that clip would get front page rebroadcasting. Oh my, okay, sorry. Let's turn into a Vosh hate stream. Stop, we're not doing this, but
for me to,
when you're possessed by the spirit of your great-great-great-great-great-grandfather in the middle of the debate, why did he do this?
for me to actually politically represent my interests.
I'm not, my point here ain't about criticizing your vote. It's that only 2 people were going to be president, and there are
Right,
only
but-
2 real paths to FBI.
No, but those are 2 different. But Vosh, I want to be really clear here.
Hold on, my sandwich is here. Bro, that's just probably my favorite clip. I think it's my favorite like 15 seconds of internet debate ever. So it's my last one.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's really funny because I remember here.
Just, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna. Here, wait, hold on. I should probably move my webcam down because I'm like blocking their faces. I've been doing it the whole video. I just want to say, do you think it maybe speaks a little bit to the fact that we have a rape culture when we put 6 people in a room together to talk about Me Too, and the 4, when they're like, hey, who of you have experienced sexual assault? And the 4 women sit down and they've all been raped and they all can barely choke out a coherent sentence. Like, do we think this perhaps maybe slightly speaks to the fact that there's a problem? Like, Me Too has gone too far. False allegations are ruining people's lives. Okay. Who among you have experienced sexual assault? And like every woman in the room starts crying. Like, almost every female friend I have has been the recipient of sexual assault or violence or rape or whatever at some point in their lives. Seriously, it's such a common thing. I think 1 in 4 is probably understating it significantly. I wouldn't be surprised if the rate for sexual assault on women over one's lifetime is as high as 1 in 3 or 1 in 2. We just don't know because nobody fucking reports because reports aren't taken seriously. That's what Me Too is about.
Here, like, I don't think things are on the same level, but things impact you in like bizarre ways. But yeah, like because the perpetrator wasn't white, and because he was like, you know, part of like a certain religion.
Wait, are we being real?
And the police were basically just like, we can't because of cultural differences, which I don't feel like is such a good.
What? Bullshit! Are you f***ing kidding me? Did she turn her rape confession into how the refugees, fucking Ahmed Muhammad, raped her and the police were like, oh, we can't persecute brown people? Bullshit! Bullshit!
I love Vosh.
I've been going through like your old like, BLM stuff, Rittenhouse stuff, all that, and then like I think the beginning like last week. Why do you think when people bring up like, you know, like riots or voice of the unheard, and you know, if you're mad, it's okay to break stuff, you know, and then you always bring up, well, how about the post-race rights and all that? Did those white people have a right to start that stuff, and did the black people not have a right to defend themselves? Like everyone always dodges that question. No one ever answers you. That was vivid. Like why do you think that happens?
I probably just haven't thought through arguments much, and then when they get challenged on it, they turn into a retard.
Like I know I just watched that one where it was like a 10-person panel with like that Arab guy and that woman who was just like being like hella rude to you. And like whenever you shoot, I just died. Whenever you bring it up, like the entire panel would just do their best to just like dissuade the question and stuff. I thought that was super weird.
Wait, what panel was this? Are you talking about Grantos or?
No, it was like 2 years ago. It's some guy named Heem, I think.
Oh, yeah, Heem is a cool guy.
Yeah, and like, but everyone was like white knighting the girl whenever you bring up like a little counterpoint, and like so I thought that like it was super weird because when you brought up the.
Hold on, I'm sorry. Are you talking about the progressive brat?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. She was just I don't know what I'm trying to say. Yeah, she was retarded. I don't know. Yeah.
And like the British guy would just like not engage with their hypothetical and like
the problem that people have generally is sometimes people have anger, but because there's so much outrage farming on social media, people develop a lot of anger and then they don't have a good direction for it, and then it gets misdirected. And then when you point out that the anger is misdirected, they are at a loss for words because they don't know how to effectively channel their strong emotion. So for riots, right? People will look at riots. People will see stealing and thieving and stealing, arson, like blowing shit up, beating people that are etc. And people have gotten this attachment like, okay, well, rioting must be good because I've got a strong emotional feeling about rioting. And then when you attack that, you say, well, hold on, rioting is not good. They feel like that you're attacking their underlying emotion. That you shouldn't feel like you need to riot. The problem, though, is when MLK talks about riots are the language of the unheard. The issue is that people are mad about something, and that anger comes out in the form of rioting. That's what happens. And when you say don't riot, what people feel like you're saying is don't express these emotions, they're wrong. And there is an underlying reason why riots are happening, and it does a disservice to the rioters of the society at large to get rid of the rioting without addressing the underlying conditions. That's what MLK meant when he said riots are the language of the unheard. He's saying that people are unheard and that they have grievances that are being unaddressed by society, so it comes out in the form of violent rioting. It's unfair. Keep the rioting without simultaneously addressing the underlying causes that cause the rioting to come about. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So people get mad when you say stop rioting because they feel like what you're saying is you're not allowed to have this anger, but they're not aware that the problem is the anger they have, and that expressing it via writing is not like the good way to do that. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so how would you go about forcing someone to answer your questions if the moderator or whoever else doesn't want to engage?
I don't know. People probably just call them names and then make them on Twitter. I don't know. Depends. It depends on the person. It depends on the it depends a lot on who I'm talking to. Yeah. Some people are really receptive to conversations, have good conversations. Other people are receptive to clickbait and farm for TikTok and get social media hits, and they're never going to change positions because they can't because they're too ideologically bought into a group that believes it. So it just depends on
Yeah, they need to find a root cause of the riot
I also noticed
and
that when
fix
Ryan
them.
was talking just Brody things, and he would bring up, hey, explain this, explain that. What do you mean by this? What evidence do you have? And she just shut down and said, just stop talking. And it seems like such a juvenile thing to do if you're an adult and your entire life is spent on streaming and stuff. So you should be able to say something at that point, I believe. Which is super weird. So I don't like so how many of these people like in this streaming space are just like saying stuff? Oh, you kind of brought it up yesterday when you were talking about Ethan Klein and his little producer guy. Like the second he was challenged, like he didn't really have any any ideas to back up his like anti-capitalist he says ideas. He was kind of just like with the flow.
Sure.
But yeah, is that really prevalent? You?
Yeah, it's not just online space. The problem is that people are part of an ideological group first, and then the thinking comes afterwards to justify it. You'd call this a post hoc rationalization. You become a progressive for a variety of reasons, and now you've got like a whole web of progressive ideas that you're required to buy into, and then you'll do what you need to backwards rationalize why it's correct, and then that's it.
Yeah, but you talk to these guys like when you're not streaming. I mean, and I assume you go have dinner. You talk to them. So how many of these guys can defend their beliefs in private as opposed to like when they're on the spot when they're streaming?
I'd say it's about the same. I argue with Pearl in real life. I thought she was just as retarded in real life as on the internet. I'd say probably most people argue with you. I don't know. I haven't met anybody in real life who's like, yeah, I just say this shit on the internet just for jokes.
Okay, so we're running the newspaper with the overall.
Oh yeah, no, Zerk is an exception to that.